Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot, and one day I will hopefully be your favorite Diablo 4 content creator. Okay, what am I going to do in this video? I'm going to show you guys how to do the mid and early game rogue build. Okay, this is what I've been leveling the rogue with live on stream, and it has actually done really well for me. So I'm actually going to show you how to construct it and how we go through it. All right, so we're going to start first and foremost with the skills. All right. And that we will do as we always do with these videos. First and foremost, I'm going to remove my cam so you guys can see the full skill tree. And we're going to refund all skill points because that's just the sensible thing to do. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to build it up right from the ground. Puncture is your first choice. Okay, gain 2 energy when puncture damages a crowd controlled enemy. And then, of course, after that, grab your twisting blades. Once you have your twisting blades, grab enhanced twisting blades, and then you will want to put points into improved twisting blades, because being able to daze your enemies is a crowd control effect, which later on improves your DPS via modifiers like damage versus crowd control, all that kind of stuff. All right, next you will want to get vulnerable on your puncture. This rounds out your basic and your core skill. Okay, these two are absolutely essential for you. Next, you are going to need 5 skills to get to the next tree. So which skills do you take? First and foremost, you're going to want to put 1 rank into Shadow Step, 1 rank into Dash. These are your mobility skills. Get very used to them because they are how you move around the battlefield. They are how you do well. My Dash is 3 out of 5 due to the fact that I've got points coming from an item that I have, but don't worry about it. Realistically speaking, you only put 1 point into Dash, you only put 1 point into Shadow Step, okay? You still need 3 more points to unlock this, so where do you go from here? Number 1, Enhance Shadow Step. Why? The increased critical strike chance against an enemy that you shadow step is absolutely essential because you are going to use this to deal with elites, bosses, big targets. Okay, this is very good. Next, you will want to get methodical shadow step. This is used for stunning elites because it's a guaranteed stun for 2 seconds, allowing you to take advantage of more modifiers as well. You don't really go for disciplined shadow step because while it is good, all right, ideally you want the stun. Okay, but if you find that you want more mobility early in the game, go ahead and use Disciplined Shadow Step. This will allow you to teleport with it quite quickly. All right, so you become sort of a teleporting assassin, but it still has a cooldown. And even if you were to, for example, take this, right, and reduce the cooldown by 3, it would still be on a 4.79 second cooldown. And this is with cooldown reductions on both my helmet as well as amulet. So I don't think that Disciplined Shadow Step is worth it. It's not going to make you teleport all around, all right? So Methodical Shadow Step it is. 1 more point, of course, Enhanced Dash. Enemies damaged by Dash take 15% increased critical strike damage from you for 5 seconds. This is why sometimes, instead of using double twisting blades on an elite, you might want to dash through them instead, because if you dash through them, they're going to take increased critical strike damage, which can help later in the game with attempting to one-shot certain elites. But I mean, genuinely up to you on this one. All right. But of course, you still have to take Enhanced Dash. How you play is up to you, but Enhanced Dash is a must. All right. Great. Now coming down to this tree, okay, you still do not take anything special. Why? Because you're going to take, it's going to cost 5 points to get to the next tree. And what you're actually going to do is you're going to go for a passive. First of all, you take Sturdy, and then chuck 3 points into Siphoning Strikes. This is your survival skill. Okay, if you don't have this, you're going to have a very rough time. All right? Now, you need 1 point to get to this tree, okay? But what you're going to do is actually finish off Dash. All right? So you're going to take Disciplined Dash to slow enemies, and also if you've already dashed through them, you will daze them for 2 seconds. This comes in handy with a particular aspect called Shadow Slicer's aspect, which will basically allow you to use Disciplined Dash to use a single dash to daze enemies, which can be very useful. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to want is to round out the skills in your build. You've spent 16 points. The early game build stops at 21. So what do you do with your remaining 5 points? Well, the early game build is literally all about skills, 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 because the skills themselves will carry you. So before you get your passives, it's time to get the rest of your skills. First and foremost, please get Concealment and then Enhance Stealth. Why? This is your methodology of, you know, going a little bit crazy with the combo points, especially useful against bosses. Because what I would normally do in some situations is I'll actually use Twisting Blades twice so that my energy drops down. I'll use Concealment to go back up to max energy and then hit them with the Shadow Imbuement combo, which you would have seen live on stream. And of course, later it will be shown in the combat demonstration as well. So this is one of the many ways that you can use Enhanced Stealth. So you will go for Concealment, Enhanced Stealth, and then you will go for Shadow Imbuement, Enhanced Shadow Imbuement, and Mixed Shadow Imbuement. All right. This is your horde clear in the early game, and that's 21 points. Okay, now what you will normally do is when you see an elite, you will shadow step to that elite. Okay, you will charge up your combo points with, or if you've pre-charged your combo points, that's totally cool. You'll hit Concealment, all right, with countering stealth. Later on, you're gonna have to put a point into this, so I'm gonna show you this early. You will hit them with Concealment, so that you will guarantee a critical strike on your Twisting Blades. You pop your Shadow Imbuement, you Twisting Blades them, and then you either dash through them to increase critical strike damage, because you have a guaranteed critical hit, right? Or you toss 3 daggers again, make them vulnerable, get your 3 combo points, and stab them again with Twisting Blades. These are the 2 strategies that you can use to absolutely annihilate elites, together with Shadow Imbuement, which only gets better once you get the aspect for the Twisting Blades, which again I'll cover in the necessary aspect section. Unfortunately for the rogue, even for early and mid game, there's one aspect that you're going to need. Now you're only going to need it closer to the level 40s, like around level 35. It is absolutely obtainable, but you may not have the legendary Baleful Fragments that you need to actually put the skill onto one of your weapons. So you may have to live without it, and if you have to live without the Twisting Blades, then Shadow Imbuement is your only form of fast horde clear, all right, other than proper positioning, so you're still going to have to use this, okay? All right, now that we've explained that, you have gone past the early game point. Now you're going to go to the mid game point. The mid game consists of the rest of the skill points, and I'm going to show you where to put them in. You've already maxed out your skill bar, so there's no more need for further skills. Now, you're going to work on nothing but passives, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to max out Sturdy. Why? Because this gives you 12% close damage reduction. You should always have this. The more damage reduction you have, the better. Okay? So this is absolutely essential to staying alive. Next, you will want to grab damage-based passives. Okay? So where are you going to go for that? Exploit is the first step, all right? Then you're going to want to get Malice, okay? Max this out for 9% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Then you go back on defense. You grab Agile and you max that out. 12% extra dodge chance for 3 seconds whenever you pop a cooldown. So your dash and your Shadow Step gives you a 12% chance to completely avoid damage that will add to whatever dodge chance you may have on other pieces of gear. This is very useful, all right? It can be how your rogue sometimes survives pretty unwinnable situations, okay? Next, you will want to increase your damage even more. So, max out Exploit, all right? Now, coming down to this section of the tree, you can grab your key passive. Make sure you get Close Quarters Combat, which when you damage a close enemy with a Marksman or Cutthroat skill, each will grant you 10% bonus attack speed for 8 seconds. When both bonuses are active, you deal 20% increased damage against crowd-controlled enemies. How do you activate Close Quarters Combat? Easy. Puncture is a Marksman skill, but Twisting Blades is a Cutthroat skill. By using both of these, which you will always do, you always have 20% extra attack speed. So, Close Quarters Combat, absolutely excellent for you. Alright, now, the next part. Okay, at this point, you're going to want to work on faster dungeon clears before you go back to resistances and more damage. How do you do that? Adrenaline Rush, while moving you gain 5% increased energy regeneration, but you don't need to worry about this. This is just to open up Haste. You must max out Haste because 15% increased movement speed means faster movement through dungeons, you can clear it faster, and as well as if you are ever below 50% max energy, you gain 15% increased attack speed, which will then pair with this, Innervation. 2 ranks in Innervation is enough. It'll grant you 20% chance of getting 8 energy, alright, whenever you trigger a lucky hit. Alright, lucky hits are fairly easy to trigger on the rogue because the puncture skill has a lucky hit chance of 35%. And considering the rogue's innate attack speed, it is very easy to trigger lucky hits with this. Okay, so yeah, that is what you want. Now you're gonna work on, like I said, damage. How do you do damage? Okay, first, one rank into concussive, then get trick attacks. Critically striking a dazed enemy will knock them down for 5 seconds. However, as soon as you knock them down, alright, you will gain increased critical strike chance against them for 3 seconds. Max out concussive. This is absolutely excellent because now you have 12% increased critical strike chance that you can trigger anytime you critically strike a dazed enemy, which is super easy to do because Twisting Blades dazes enemies. So as soon as you stab them with Twisting Blades, you have a guaranteed critical strike with concealment. Are you starting to see the combo here? This is how you smack down the elites super fast. All right, next. Now what you're going to want to do is further increase damage. So what I like to do is I like to get Shadow Crash, okay, and then Consuming Shadows. I only unlock this for extra energy during hordes, okay? I don't care about the stun effect. This is just so I can unlock this, and 10 energy is more than enough. Because if you're using this correctly with combo points, you shouldn't be spamming your Twisting Blades. You just want to regenerate enough energy to use Twisting Blades again, all right, within a very short frame of time. Now, if you find that this is totally useless, all right, you don't like this at all, absolutely fine with me. You can completely remove it because, quite frankly, you don't really need either of these in your build, giving you more points to spend on Precision Imbuement, which will give you 3% increased critical strike chance when you use imbued skills. Okay, but for now, my rogue is actually functioning with these. Okay, you can modify as needed. If you find that you don't need this, take them off and just use the points elsewhere. Okay, but I'm gonna put them in because this is what my rogue has been doing. I may take them off for an experiment later on. Now as we go past the mid-game point, because this is already mid-game here, right? As we go past the mid-game point, where do you put the rest of your skill points? Well, for me, what I did was I decided to, where is it? I decided to come back here to this section, right? And I actually maxed out this Weapon Mastery. Why? Because Weapon Mastery, you are always going to be using 2 swords. This gives you 9% increased damage, multiplicatively speaking, which is really good, all right? So when you're attacking with your swords, which you will always be doing with Twisting Blades and Puncture, you have 9% extra damage. Absolutely useful. I've got 8 points remaining, so I chucked them in here for Rugged 1 rank, and then Reactive Defense, so good. So good. There is no reason for you not to have this. Reactive Defense is absolutely excellent, okay? It will give you plenty of damage reduction. However, if you find that you don't need damage reduction, alright, chuck all your skill points into Twisting Blades first. Why? Because why not? You should be upping your base damage as high as possible, okay? If you want to put ranks into Twisting Blades early on in the game because you feel confident enough and you don't need any of these other passives, go ahead and do so. You can rank Twisting Blades up to max at any point in time that you want to, alright? But if you feel that you're not surviving enough, Rugged and Reactive Defense. Now, realistically speaking, alright, I'm just going to communicate with you guys that I'm actually only going to leave this at 2 ranks. Why is that the case? Because when it comes to the end game, alright, and this is just me being very realistic with all of you, when it comes to end game, you have so much reduction already that this extra 12% should be more than sufficient. In fact, some people would even take another skill point off this and just leave it at 6% just to round out their builds a little bit. Okay, because once you get Ancestral Gear in World Tier 4, you have a lot of reduction, or ideally you should. So Reactive Defense, I keep it at 2 out of 3, okay? Excuse me, and that is what sets me up for the early and mid game just fine, right? The last remaining points I put into Precision Imbuement, just for extra crit strike chance, because the more likely you are to critically strike, the better, no matter what. Yes, you have a guaranteed critical strike, but you won't always use Imbuement together with Concealment. Why? Because Imbuement is on a much shorter cooldown. Concealment is on 17.31 seconds. This is on 11.25. You can use Shadow Imbuement twice, roughly, and then use Concealment again. Okay, so that is something else that you might want to consider for World Tier 3 and up. Alright, especially if you have massive hordes in some events that you really want to deal with, you might pop a Shadow Imbuement in between. Again, so this helps you out with that. And my last skill point, coming to 58 skill points will go into this precision imbuement. If I ever take off from reactive defense, I'll probably chuck it into precision imbuement again. All right, or one of the other skills that I haven't really maxed out. I mean, there's a lot of options that you can do, but I mean, you know, it's your choice. Do whatever you want with the last remaining skill points. You can go defensive. You don't need defense. You can go offensive. All right. So that basically covers it for the rogue's skill build. Now, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the rogue's specialization abilities, which is what is unique to the rogue, right? Combo points is where your basic skills will generate combo points, and core skills will consume the combo points for additional effects. On Twisting Blades, if you max out your combo points, right, you gain a 60% movement speed bonus, as well as gaining a huge, massive DPS increase, all right, with the amount of combo points. All right, it effectively doubles your damage. So combo points is my usual choice for the rogue. But Inner Sight can be useful because if you attack marked enemies, you will fill up the gauge, and when it's full, you have unlimited energy for 4 seconds. This is often used on bosses that do not summon adds. Okay, it is often used against them because you only have one marked enemy, the boss. You spam your attacks on the boss, and he will charge up your Inner Sight so fast, then you go ham for 4 seconds, stabbing a limitless number of Twisting Blades into him, which can, you know, far exceed the damage gained by combo points. So this is just me being honest. This is a boss killer, but it's only used in certain circumstances, so you have to be aware of that, okay? You can adjust these as necessary, but that decision is yours, and I leave that up to you, okay? Now, coming over to your character's gear loadout, you'll notice that okay, your character is only going to be using swords. So the swords are where DPS per second matters, which is why I have not upgraded either of these, because I leveled up so fast with my rogue that upgrading these constantly served literally no purpose. So I just kept grabbing the best DPS swords and chucking them in. But much like with the barbarian, you have another advantage. You can use your crossbow to get the best possible affixes. So here you can see that I've got 3 affixes that apply to my rogue almost constantly. I've got slowed enemies, crowd controlled enemies, dazed enemies, increased damage whenever this happens. Okay, and then of course the crossbow comes baseline with vulnerable damage. Ideally, I would want affixes like vulnerable damage, crit damage, and last but not least crowd control damage, okay? And then whatever other damage I can get. So ideally, I would want these 3. And you can put your Twisting Blades aspect, the Blade Dancer's aspect, into the crossbow, which will give it the 2-handed power-up, doubling whatever stats that it would normally have, which is absolutely awesome, okay? Because you will rarely change your crossbow unless you find one that has perfect affix rolls. And you don't need to use it, so you don't need to worry about the DPS per second. It can have low DPS per second, but very high affix rolls, and this will be ideal for you until you find one that's even better. So that's how you take advantage of the rogue's multiple weapons. All right, and of course, once you find the ideal swords, do upgrade them. But everything you'll see me do in the combat section is exactly without these upgraded swords. Okay, you want to upgrade your amulet as well with Edge Masters. Okay, so Edge Masters and Blade Dancers are the only 2 core aspects. Of course, you could use others as well, but Edge Masters and Blade Dancers are your 2 crucial aspects that you absolutely must have. By putting Edge Masters on your amulet with cooldown reduction, energy cost reduction, you will basically turn your rogue into a killing machine. It is absolutely insane because the 30% multiplicative damage whenever you're using Twisting Blades at full energy is just absolutely going to shred your opponents. So this is what I do. As you can see, I don't worry about gems in the early game. I don't really worry about gear and stats too much, except for the crucial ones, which I've already talked about. And again, there are only 2 core aspects. I do have other legendaries, but none of them are defensive in nature. I just, whatever I happen to find, if it happened to be useful, like this one has damage reduction. So this heal thing, it only heals 3 life per second, which is absolutely irrelevant to me. I just leave it on there because there's no point in worrying about aspects other than the core aspects in the early and mid game. All right, so that is about it, ladies and gents. That brings us to the end of this video. Okay, I hope you guys have enjoyed my explanation on the early and mid game rogue. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Sorry about the long video. As you know, for me, it's all about the quality and making sure you guys get thorough explanations on what you guys need to do. Now, we're going to thank the channel members who have literally made all of this possible. They are, you know, fantastic individuals Love them to bits. You know, wouldn't be doing what I do without them. Okay, so I'm gonna go give the thanks right now to all of these amazing channel members. Okay, bear with me while I go through this. Okay. Okay, starting right at the top, we've got Death Dawning 982 at Plus Ultra. Thank you so much. We've got OG, Jerry Fast, Rogue Assassin, and Zach MG at Prestige. Oh, Mr. Green Buff, I'm still going to give you a shout out. I know you've downgraded for your own circumstances. Absolutely, it's all good. All right. I still want to say thank you because old Mr. Green Buff maintained a Prestige membership for the longest possible time, and he's really helped me out. Okay, so that one's for you. Coming back to my honored robots, we've got Bob John, Maxim Lotz, Corey Ryu, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Chase Taylor, Scuddy, Nathan Strong, Sabingu, AKJ, Lady Neo, Joey Danze, A. Ripley, Daraverse, Che D12, I'm Peeps, Syed Assad, Coda CMF, Kami SMH, Conrad C, Nate the Great, and Benjamin Savage. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our cool and weird bots as well. I will see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help me out, grab a channel membership. And thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Enjoy the combat demonstration and enjoy the rogue. Catch you later. Okay, what up, ladies and gents? It's your favorite Asian robot right here. I'm going to do a combat showcase for the rogue. Okay, first and foremost, just want to show you that you can switch combo points inner sight at any point in time, alright, with no impact on your character. This is going to be important for later on. We are currently in the blind burrows, and I'm going to show you first and foremost how to fight the rogue under normal circumstances. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I do have to apologize for unfortunately making an incorrect statement on stream, because the accelerating aspect is very useful when you use inner sight. Now, on stream I don't switch around, but ideal gameplay is that when you go into the boss area, right, you should theoretically switch to inner sight, and I will demonstrate this later. You can do so in the dungeon itself. All right, even mid-combat you can switch, okay? Although it's dangerous and not recommended to do so, you can switch even mid-combat if you forget. Now, again, this is not something I did on stream because I am lazy, but actually the ideal gameplay is to use accelerating aspect with inner sight specifically to deliver that kind of, you know, killing potential from this build, like, which you will get if you use it correctly. For the most part, against normal enemies, you take advantage of the combo points instead, because the combo points will buff your damage and allow you to get into situations quickly, dish out max damage to an elite, kill it, and then move out. Alright? So you don't have to worry about hitting the targets and timing your inner sight. Alright? But this is different for bosses where you can take advantage of that. You see? So that is what makes a drastic difference for the rogue. So now that you've seen how I slay my way through this, alright, let me show you how to actually play. So basically, once your combo gauge is full, I'll hit something with twisting blades and then dash through, alright? This way, I deal maximum AoE damage to these targets, right? And then I wipe them out that way, and I just repeat. That is basically the entire playstyle with this. If you happen to see an elite, that's when you pop your concealment and your shadow imbuement, and you basically rip through it. So you see an elite over there? Okay. Let's move to a safe location first. I will hit 3 times, teleport in, concealment, shadow imbue, alright, and once my combo gauge is up again, I hit them with a second twisting blades, alright? I literally forgot the name of my own skill. But yes, once you do that, right, you will basically rip through your enemies really quickly, and the shadow imbuement will give you fantastic damage against elites. I know many other guides will give you like information on the playstyle saying that you should be using the shadow imbuement to deal with hordes. I don't do that because I find it far more effective to help me deal with elites. But again, you know, this is a playstyle choice that you can choose for yourself. If you find that it's not helping you deal with elites and you rather use it on hordes, you know, absolutely go ahead. All right. So teleport in. I use concealment to guarantee a critical hit on the first twisting blade, and then I hit them with the second one at full combo points. This creates a lot of burst damage, which is, like I said, what I use to delete a specific elite or a group of, like, if I can get 2 elites together, this is how I delete them really quickly. And of course, we are in World Tier 3, as I mentioned earlier in the video, because, well, I had already conquered it, and I figure it's more effective if I show you combat versus targets that are about 5 levels above you. So you can see that the build you know, this is a mid-game build, but unlike the other videos, you know, I just wanted to show you guys how this functions even beyond mid-game, and you know where I'm going with all my points and all that kind of stuff, you know. And of course, this proves that it functions well by being able to deal with things above your level, which ideally you should be able to. Okay. Take note that I do not have any extra defensive aspects. I have not changed my aspects at all. All I'm really focusing on is the Twisting Blades aspect and the Edge Master, which are the two crucial aspects for this, which you will go in your amulet and your ranged weapon respectively, which you don't have to upgrade too much. So even in mid-game, you can afford to put them in once you have good affixes on your gear. And basically that is what will help you completely rip through your opponents. Like, poison is still gonna hurt you like heck, so please remember that. It is deadly and you will suffer a lot, so just be aware of that. You're not invincible, but you can do a lot of surviving, so just remember that. Try not to get caught up with poison explosions if you can, and you're pretty much good to go. Okay? So I hope that helps to show you how we play this style of rogue. And now we'll move over to the boss fight. Okay, so we're in the same location. We're about to go for the boss fight. I'm just going to show you that you swap to inner sight for the boss fight. Why? Because for the boss killing, usually this is the better choice. Alright? Basically, as soon as you can, go ham. Alright? Then as soon as this triggers, alright, you go absolutely crazy. Just stabbing it continuously with your twisting knives until it ends. Alright? This is basically the playstyle for this. It's best against bosses that don't have ads. So if you happen to find yourself in most boss fights, I still use the combo. I still use the, what you call it, the combo points, because I find it far superior for the average situation. But I also wanted to properly show this playstyle because it'd be incorrect of me to say that something is totally useless, you know, when I know it has applications outside of the norm. But you do have to time your inner sight. So you can go with either if you want, but this is one of the ways that you can use inner sight against bosses, and you can switch freely if you know, want in combat. Like me personally, I find that unless it's a single target boss, you know, and this is probably more useful against the very end game bosses where you're only fighting that one particular boss. As long as you master the timing of inner sight, you can take down a boss really quickly, because it just gives you 4 seconds of free stabbing. Together with the accelerating aspect, it gives you a huge bunch of attack speed. But again, if you are just in normal combat and, you know, you want to just stick with using combo points and not thinking about it, you know, that's totally okay as well. And that's why I think it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to use, whether or not you want to swap around. But either way, you can run either and you will still be totally fine. So yeah, I hope that helps to demonstrate how the rogues fight bosses, and see you on the next one, okay? Enjoy.